following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. This is Comfortably Zoned Radio, and you're listening to the 50s when bums and jints walked the streets of New York. I'm Peter Trunk, and with me are Ralph Zig Tycho and Ronnie Rubinovitz. Ralph, how are you?
Hey, I'm pretty good, Peter. Thanks for having me back.
Thanks for having me back. You're the boss. Ronnie, how you feeling?
I'm doing great, buddy. Thank you so much.
You feeling good? You feeling good?
Feeling really good. Yeah, I am.
There you go. That's what we both like to hear.
Guys, I just want to tell you what a pleasant conversation and a pleasant flow we had going last week in
Wasn't that great?
Revamping of the show. And I had a nice warm feeling when we got off that we'll always have something to talk about that will bring us back to the times we grew up in, and we'll be able to compare those times to these times and future times. It was terrific, and we really spent the week talking, a show talking. We didn't talk about baseball at all.
No, we didn't. That's right.
Let's make up for it a little bit, because today was the day that the ballots came out for the Hall of Fame. And I'd like to know what you guys think. I want to learn from you.
Right. Well, I thought it was terrific. I'm surprised we were. I'm glad we did. I'm sorry that Edgar Martinez didn't make it. But as we were talking before, I think he will make it another time. These are four great ball players.
You guys surprised me. You're both, I heard Peter talk about Edgar Martinez in glowing terms. You're both what I would call traditionalist, old school, and yet you're talking about possibly inducting next year Edgar Martinez, who, for all but not a handful, he played like 3 years in the field. He was a DH. So I'd like to get...
that's a fair question.
That's
Ronnie, I'll let you start. Yes, that's a fair question. That's a fair question. Ronnie, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe that's what held him back, because he was just a DH for that many years. But he certainly was a great ball player, and that could possibly.
He's a great hitter, but was he a great ball player?
That's right. He wasn't. He was a hitter. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Another good point.
Yeah. Very good point.
Yeah. You know what? It's incongruous. My feelings are split. Whenever I think of Edgar Martinez, I think of line drives and 300 batting averages and 90 to 100 runs batted in every year, and just really an outstanding hitter. But you know what? I am a traditionalist when it comes to that, and I don't like the DH. I don't like the DH. It's not Edgar Martinez's fault that he was a DH.
No.
Of course, I have to go along with that too. I mean, the guy had a job for 15 or whatever years, and he was a pure hitter, a really good, really outstanding hitter.
Yeah.
And, to see him almost make it, it almost tugs at you a little bit, like your love for the game, my love for the game. It almost tugs at when a guy misses by 1 percentage point or 2 percentage points. It's like, imagine what he feels like tonight. Imagine what his family feels like. Imagine what his children feel like. He just, you have to make 75%, and he got whatever he got. I don't know, 73 or something like that. It's got to be, it'd almost be better if he got 44%, where he wasn't even close. But to come that close and not make it, that's got to really sting. Also, while I have the floor, let me just say that I was semi-surprised. I didn't surprise Ralph too much, but it surprised me that professional writers, either active or retired, but nonetheless professional columnists from viable news sources, sports writers, predicted all week, the last 10 days, and a week to 10 days, that both Bonds and Clemens were going to make it. Now, they didn't make it. They came close, but they didn't make it. I don't know if I'll use the word shocked, but for lack of a better term right now, I'll say I was semi-shocked that those guys predicted they would make it. I thought in my lifetime that I would never see a proven PED user come close to making it, but I was wrong because these guys have changed their minds.
You were wrong twice because Nolan Ryan is in, and I would bet my bottom dollar that Nolan Ryan did PEDs.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt in my mind he used them, and no doubt in my mind that a guy that I really love, Mike Piazza, used them, or Jeff Bagwell used them, and they're all in, and if Pudge Rodriguez makes it, he used them too, but I don't know. I'm split.
Well, you have to assume that 80% of those players that played in that era used them, and you have to assume that 80% of the players in this era are using what can't be tested for, which is human growth hormones, and or PEDs, staying one step ahead of the testing of the chemists.
Yeah.
They have these.
So I don't know if you're a cynic or a realist. I would like to think you were a cynic, but I think you're more of a realist. I think you might be right about that. And if you are, it throws a little shade onto the Hall of Fame for me. In fact, it casts a shadow, point blank, on the Hall of Fame for me. When I was a little guy in the Little League and stuff, and I would watch, we didn't have ESPN back then. We didn't have the Internet. You used to look in the TV guide at any sports show that would be on, whether it was Saturday afternoon or whatever, and you used to tune in and listen and all. And they used to go over the Hall of Fame guys, and you'd see Mickey Cochran and Babe Ruth and, Lefty Grove and Ted Williams and all these guys, and you think, wow, these guys were the creme de la creme, man. These guys were just unbelievable, these guys. And I'm not so sure if it's that way anymore. I don't know if Trevor Hoffman.
Well, it's a museum, and
creme de la creme.
So subjective. Anyway, the voting has always been subjective throughout the years.
Yeah.
I can remember the arguments of when Reese and Rizzuto weren't in.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
Me too.
And
look at Phil Hodges.
There's still arguments that can be made over that, and Enos Slaughter should be in, and if you want to talk cheers,
Mazeroski,
Gaylord, Mazeroski again. See, I'm one of those that think that Mazeroski, who, because he was the premier second baseman of his time in the National League, should be in. He was. They called him no hands. He turned the double play quicker than anybody in baseball. Now, I don't think he would have been in were it not for that home run.
Right.
That said, that home run was so dramatic that you can't really take it away from him from that standpoint. So,
1960, Ralph?
It's subjective. That's why we can argue, or no, we don't argue, we discuss. This guy or that guy. I'll ask you both. Ronnie, do you think there's anybody? I'm sure you think there are some players that are in and shouldn't be? Can you name some of those?
Yes, there are. I'm sure there are. Right off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but I know there are. Let me think about that because I definitely feel that way.
Okay.
Okay, that's legit.
Peter, how about you?
Yeah, well, I think I've named a couple of them just in passing. I'm not so sure. Trevor Hoffman was named today. He has like 20 losses more than wins. Or I know about the saves. I know all about the saves. Mazeroski, Rizzuto. Believe it or not, and I know the Dodger card is there. People who know me know that I'm a big Dodger fan. They go, well, you said Rizzuto might not deserve to be in. Well, how about Pee Wee Reese? I think Reese does belong. I think Reese was much more important to the Dodgers than Rizzuto was to the Yankees, notwithstanding what Ted Williams said. Ted Williams made a statement after his playing days and said if we had Phil Rizzuto, we would have won all of those years. And I'm not sure how that sat with Johnny Pesky.
Right, and another superstar, Joe DiMaggio, always sung the praises of Rizzuto. Always. So that's hard to.
Yeah, well, they were,
I remember from
they were Goombas. They were Goombas in New York City, so I take that with a grain of salt.
Okay.
They were asshole buddies and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure if DiMaggio meant that or not, as much as Williams meant it. Williams almost every week during a 5-year stretch from like 1970 to 75, all he did when he was interviewed was somehow, some way bring in that Dominic DiMaggio should be in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was trying to do what Joe D did with Rizzuto and try to just talk him in to the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? So I don't. That doesn't hold too much water when guys love each other as teammates and they talk each other up like that. I'm not so sure. Guys who played with Roger Maris say that he should be in. We know he shouldn't be in. People that are blindly in love with the Brooklyn Dodgers say that Carl Furillo should be in. We know he shouldn't be in. These are just, fan is short for the word fanatic.
Sure.
Well, we're all fanatics.
Let me say this about Rizzuto. He was the shortstop on 5 consecutive world championships.
Yes, he was.
That's true. That is true.
You can't take that very lightly.
No, you can't.
No, but you could then go back, and I have nothing in front of me to help me out here, but you could say, well, who was the third baseman? Who was the second baseman? Who was the first baseman? Who was the right fielder? Were they all on those 5? And how come they're not in? I don't know.
Well, I could make a case for both. I'll answer the question that you asked. Who was this, that? Junior Gil McDougall was the third baseman. He was also the second baseman. He was also a shortstop, a regular shortstop on World Champions. Not in those 5 years, but on other World Champions. He and Junior Gilliam both should be in as the best utility infielders of their time, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
I agree with you.
I wait a minute. I agree that they were both super utility players. I'm not so sure about Hall of Fame status, though. I'm really not.
Well,
I'm not so sure
they were
about that.
super versatile players. They were not your typical utility infielder that doesn't play every day.
Exactly.
They were the utility infielder that played the position they were needed in based on the makeup of the team in any one particular year.
And they played 125 games a year. Your point is well taken. They didn't sit on the bench and play 60 games.
Right.
They were outstanding. They were outstanding. Hall of Fame, though, I don't know. It's for the greats, not for the very goods. It's just
either one of you
said it,
have the
we said it from Jump Street. It's very subjective. who should be Miss America based on looks. Who's the best looking movie star in the world, in the history of Hollywood. It's all, you ask 10 guys, you ask 100 guys, you get 100 different women. And none of them are wrong. It's all subjective. Baseball is a game of numbers, game of statistics. It always has been. And, I guess I'm talking myself into a corner here, and I should say Pete Rose should be in because of the statistics. I don't believe Pete Rose should be in. And if he ever does go in, on the same day, Shoeless Joe Jackson should go in.
Oh, no question about that.
On the same day.
But
if he ever goes in.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just
But
me.
I don't think
everybody has
like with Leo DeRocher, he's hated by too many people. He's not going to get in his lifetime. And that's punishment enough for the poor guy.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, when he was first suspended, when it came out with the gambling and all that, and he had the lifetime ban, I honestly thought that there was a man that was going to commit suicide.
Really?
Never thought he'd survive without being on the inside of baseball. And you know what? Baseball is the worst for it. What an incredible instructor he would have been.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I saw him recently. That's a good point. I saw Pete Rose recently. I'm not a fan of Pete Rose, but I saw him recently on television teach the Big Hurt and A-Rod about hitting, and I was mesmerized like someone hit me with a 2x4, and so were they. A-Rod and the Big Hurt, just their jaws slackened when he
I
showed
remember
them.
that. It was
my God,
thing
he was
or something.
excellent.
They were so engrossed in what Pete Rose was.
Yep.
Yeah. But one of the things with Pete Rose, besides the gambling and everything else, he's kind of a jerk. I mean,
he is.
He's antagonized everybody.
Yeah,
and,
he's arrogant.
I mean, if he would have been more humble, possibly he'd be in by now. But
maybe Barry Bonds too.
Yeah, Barry Bonds too. Hey, do you guys, either one of you know the breakdown percentage-wise today on those 4 that were elected? I don't know.
No,
I just got in from driving, so.
But I will say that both Bonds and Clemens, had they copped to it with an explanation, we didn't know, we made a mistake, this, that, and the other thing, it would have been like Giambi, who comes out, with his reputation intact. It's always the cover-up that gets
and Andy Pettit, same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
And does anybody believe that if Pettit just tried it that once or twice at Clemens?
Yeah, of course not.
No.
No. He just got caught, is all.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, so as you got 2 or 3 things going. You got the fact that it's subjective in the first place. You got, we don't really know. When I say 80%, that's my guess. But we don't really know. We know for sure on some people. Some people, hey, Chipper Jones. We don't know. We don't know. He's never been accused of anything. But just because of the era that he played in, and, you'll always think of all those guys as
I've heard
possibility that they did do steroids.
I've heard stuff about Ricky Henderson even.
Really?
Oh,
about Pete. Sure, absolutely.
Oh. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What would Ricky said? Ricky don't do no steroids.
Exactly. Ricky would always speak of himself in the third person.
In the third
what a ball
person,
player he was. Wow.
And there are a lot of people that think of themselves in the third person, none of whom I'd really want to have dinner with in my home.
I think I'm thinking of the same person.
Right. Exactly. And as you guys know, Zig really doesn't like people who talk in the third person.
There you go. Neither does Pete.
Neither does Ron.
Okay. All right.
I'll tell you one thing. Of the 4 that were inducted, Jim Tomey is really a class act. He is really something.
Yeah.
Well
12 home runs.
Yeah. Well deserved.
Never a bad word as a teammate. No one ever had a bad word to say about
ever.
him.
Right.
Did you know, you know what? Since we're talking about the class of this year, that Chipper Jones batted 300 right-handed and 300 left-handed lifetime.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
His on-base
unusual
percentage. Yeah, right. I remember that stat. That was cool.
Yeah.
Same amount of hits on the road as at home.
It's very
Chipper
unusual.
Jones.
It is.
Yeah, Chipper Jones, 300, both sides of the plate. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I think I'm not mistaken, he also was on base percentage from both sides of the plate above 400. He had a hell of a career. Hell of a career.
He did. Yes, he did.
Good ball player, well
a great
deserving.
ball player. Yeah.
Hoffman I think he makes it by today's day and age, given all those saves.
Right.
I mean,
that
601
saves.
It's justifiable.
All right.
Yeah, I'd say so too. I think all 4 of them are well deserving.
Right. Well,
I really
as Peter says, the big surprise is so many people calling the fact that Bonds and Clemens would be elected, and then them both not showing much of an increase over the percentage of votes they got last year.
Yeah, that's strange.
That is strange.
Right. And I don't know what Clemens is doing to renew his image, but you see a lot of Bonds out there. Last year he coached with the Marlins.
Yeah.
He's always smiling at the camera.
Yeah, you see McGuire doing that thing in the dugout all the time too.
Yeah.
He goes from team to team as the batting coach. And now Palmieri wants to make a comeback as a player at age 53. He wants to just restart. He sees that these guys are getting close to be elected in the Hall of Fame. He wants to just have one at bat.
I was surprised that Bonds didn't restart the clock last year with Miami. It would have been good publicity for them to activate the guy. I think he must be 50 by now himself.
Bonds? Yeah, he probably has to be, doesn't he?
Getting close. But
getting close.
Hey, didn't Minnie Minoso come back?
Yeah.
He didn't really come back when he was over.
No, it was a promotional thing. They gave him an at bat. He was 59 years old. He came back.
Right.
I'm surprised Julio Franco doesn't
guys
come back.
Definitely should be in the Hall of Fame. Minnie Minoso,
absolutely.
First black Latin.
Oh boy.
Absolutely.
You know what?
He was a trail.
You're absolutely right. I agree.
100%. I agree with you.
I agree. Yeah. What a ball player.
He was great.
Man.
Tony Oliva, too.
What I liked about him, he always had a smile on his face.
Yes,
he did.
He was one of those guys that enjoyed playing the game. I've always liked the Latin flavor of enjoying themselves.
Big power.
It's like, pardon me?
Vic Power. Remember him?
Oh, absolutely. Puerto
He
Rican.
played with a smile on his face every single day, and he was a colorful ball player. Not a Hall of Famer, but a very good ball player.
If not for Gil, as good as anybody, he and Gil were as good as anybody at first base.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Absolutely.
Defensively, I mean.
Yeah, defensively.
Ralph, I like what you mentioned about the Latin players, how they love to be playing. And it kind of reminds me of the Negro League players who just love baseball, who played and loved the game. You know what I mean?
Yes,
There's a very
absolutely.
similarity there. Very similarity there.
Yep.
Hey, listen, before I forget, on Saturday night, Jim Campanis is going to be on the Golan Box show at 8 o'clock Eastern. So that if you guys want to call in the number, we can talk about Jackie and the relationship with his grandfather and all of that stuff.
It would be this Saturday night?
Saturday night at 8 o'clock.
Why don't you send us the number and the time and text us that?
I will do that. But and if you can do it, it really would be great because as Dodger fans, fanatical Dodger fans that you are, you could lend an historical viewpoint that I can't, and I'd enjoy your company on the at that time.
Oh, great.
Okay.
I'll try and make it for
Ronnie,
sure.
you're really week to week. You're getting stronger. Your voice
I feel great.
improving.
I feel great.
And
out Ubering again.
Are you back to work? Are you doing what you? And
I was Ubering. I'm Ubering, and I love it.
Okay.
I just got in a little bit late, so that's why I wasn't really prepared here. But I was busy today. You know, it's starting. People are starting to come in from Philadelphia and New England. Remember, we got a Super Bowl coming up.
Yeah, Super Bowl.
We have a Super Bowl coming up. Yeah, next week.
Who would have thought?
A week from Sunday.
Yes.
So it's going to be super busy. They're saying
how about the weather? Is the weather where both of you are was absolutely frigid a few weeks ago?
We got a huge dumping on Monday. We had 14 inches of snow.
Oh my God!
It was the largest snowfall in 7 years.
Wow!
Amazing. And it was just unbelievable. The airport was
the last
down.
days
that there's a climate change going on. Don't be silly. Our president doesn't do that.
No, of course.
How could there be climate change? You know,
it was 58 years the last 2 days.
And I know he knows because he's very wealthy. You know, he was very successful as a game show host, and
reality show.
He's to be respected. He's quite a golfer.
Yeah, he sure is. He's getting a lot of practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
On our nickel.
No, except it's more than a nickel. That's
sure
the
is
problem.
more than a nickel. You're right.
Sure is.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This was.
I want to leave the show. I want to end the show on something that I'm going to leave it up in the air, and maybe we can discuss it next Wednesday night. Sure. And it's just something that I've been thinking about. It'll only take me a minute. The old days, back in the old days, not way back, but it changed around when Seaver was pitching for the Mets. So that would leave it like the very late 60s into the 70s. Before that, what this show entails in the 1950s, when bums and jints walked the streets of New York, the ball players policed themselves. And by that I mean with the brushback pitches and the beanballs, and the umpires did not get involved. And I remember Tom Seaver saying on Kiner's Corner when he was asked after one of the beanball episodes at Shea Stadium, he said, Ralph Kiner was saying, what were you yelling at the home plate umpire? We saw you screaming at the home plate umpire. What was being said? And Tom Seaver said, I was simply telling him, this is none of your business. We'll settle this amongst ourselves. This is none of your business. You call balls and strikes and outs and foul and fair and this and that, make sure no one hits out of order. But when it comes to this is none of your business. And that really smacked me across the face. I couldn't believe he was saying that. And this was like 69, 70, 71, 72. And I know before that, when I looked back on it, with the Drysdales and the Magleys and the what have you, the Ewell Blackwells and everything, it certainly seems as if the ball players did police themselves and that they didn't kowtow. The umpires didn't just, like a despot, just go out and throw everybody out of the game, the manager, the pitcher, this and that. And I just want you to stew on that for the next 7 days, and maybe that can be one of our subjects next week.
Okay.
Okay. Terrific.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
All right.
I'd like to make one correction from last week,
sure.
if I could, please. We were talking about the Bobby Kennedy and the, Senator McCarthy, Joe McCarthy, and all that. That committee, Bobby was not the chief counsel. Roy Cohn was. And Roy Cohn was a real character. He was a bad guy. And Bobby hated him. Later on, when the McClellan Committee was formed, after McCarthy was censured from the Senate and he lost his chairmanship, John McClellan from Arkansas was the chairman of that committee, and then Bobby was chief counsel. So I wanted to correct myself on that.
Okay, good.
Okay.
That's good.
Beautiful. We're getting it straight.
All right, so we'll wrap it up.
I mentioned to both of you about doing a little earlier next week. Is it possible?
We
can do it offline.
You did mention that.
Just remind us during the week.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that offline. Okay, great.
Okay,
online.
Sounds great.
Yeah. All right.
Peter, thanks.
So let's wrap it up, gentlemen. Ralph, Tycho, thank you very much. Ronnie, thank you very much. Ronnie, Ralph and I are very glad to hear your strong voice and that you're back at 100%. We're very happy and relieved about that. And
thank you so much.
I want to thank both of you for a good show. And until next week, I bid you both farewell and good night. Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Ronnie.